We got several science questions from Joyce Acock's 6th grade class at Ralston Elementary in Jefferson County for Steve. Like Madison, who wants to know why bubbles are shaped like spears. And Jack, who wants to know how animals adapt to their ecosystems. And Steve, you say it's easier than ever before to get these questions answered.
It used to be before that you'd have to go to somebody who has the answer, and that was kind of the gatekeeper. You know, and I think science teachers liked that a long time ago. Now kids are coming in knowing that information, and it's the job of the teacher to build the connection. So you just go to Google. I mean, it's probably the greatest tool out there that we could use, and parents are afraid of Google sometimes, and sometimes teachers don't know how to use Google maybe in their classroom, but I can tell you that that's changing. And so we literally can type that question in, and we come back to the bubbles and say, well, it's really the smallest surface area there for the greatest volume, but just saying that may not make sense. Maybe we need an example, maybe we need a video, maybe we need illustrations. Right. It's all there. You know, I think back to when you and I were looking at encyclopedias. Isn't it kind of fun? My little guy loves to look through it, and you realize it's just all about that internet now.
Well, and then you have to know what to look up, ecosystems of animals.
And now you literally type the question, and again, with Mom and Dad there on the computer, and so, well, what a great resource.
Okay, well, we have several questions from the 6th graders. This one's from Josephine.
My name is Josephine Coulter, and I was wondering why, when you suck in helium, how come it makes your voice higher in pitch?
You kind of know about this, don't you?
A little bit.
And knowing about that question in advance, you'll never guess what I brought, Kim.
Imagine that.
There it is. Now, we always tell people don't try this at home, and so don't want anybody getting mad about the gases and so forth. But both of these gases here we're just using for kind of our experiment. Helium here. Let me try the helium for you. So, are you up for this?
Sure.
So here we go. A little bit of helium for you. The cool part is that helium, as you know, is 6 times lighter than the air that we breathe. All right, so hang on to it here. Ready? So exhale. Okay, don't try this at home. Okay. And now inhale. And now talk.
Hi, Steve.
See, now that
sounds so silly. I love it.
Now, this helium's a little bit different because this is going to last for about 3 hours. So I hope you enjoy doing
the
rest of it. Yeah, absolutely. That's enough. Give me that.
Yeah, keep going like that.
All right, so helium is 6 times. Breathe out. Now breathe in. Helium is 6 times lighter than the air that we breathe. So when your vocal cords vibrate, they vibrate through that air the normal air that we breathe. This is what our voice actually sounds like. Through this now, the vibration or that sound is different. The pitch kind of goes up. So what's the opposite? If you didn't have helium that was 6 times high or 6 times lighter than the air that we breathe, you would have another gas that is 6 times heavier than the air that we breathe.
Great.
Thank you so much for asking this.
6 times lighter, 6 times heavier.
Any excuse that I have to be able to use sulfur hexafluoride is great.
Oh, my
All right,
goodness.
so here it is. Again, an inert gas.
It feels different.
It is. 6 times heavier than the air that we breathe.
Okay.
All right? So here's something to have you do. Ready? So, exhale. And now inhale. Take as much as you can. Ready? Go.
It's the turf.
No, it's supposed to be a weirdest feeling. And this lasts for about 6 months. So this is just great. Now, just go ahead and try to breathe out.
Okay.
No, breathe out. Ready?
Breathe in. Breathe out.
Am I better? A little.
You are.
Okay.
All right, so the danger of something like this is, of course, you could, hold on just a second, you could have too much of that kind of gas in their lungs, and that could be very, very dangerous. But it answers a bigger question, and that's why teachers use demonstrations to be able to relate a concept or illustrate a concept. I'll promise you that kids will never forget the day that a teacher changes his or her voice. And so I think that's one of the secrets that we don't get a chance and we don't have time to talk about on the regular show, and that is, it's not about activities. I mean, there's a huge difference between good and great teachers, and it's taken me 16 years to kind of figure this out. Our world is filled with good teachers. These are teachers that do activities, and they do little hands-on things, and they have great worksheets, and they have a bunch of lessons. But you don't know the difference between good and great until you have a great teacher. When you have a great teacher, this is a teacher that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And when you have that teacher, you realize that teacher didn't teach activities. They didn't do little tchotchke things. They created unforgettable learning experiences. That's the difference. And when you see a teacher move from good to great, which is the evolution of a teacher, it's an amazing transformation, and kids will never forget that person. I always say that if it gets to the dinner table, you win. You know what I mean? If kids are talking about what you're doing on the dinner table, I think that you win. I think that everything has to... Isn't this funny? It was like 20 years ago that I was doing schools in Colorado. Of the 853 elementary schools that were in Colorado, I visited almost 700 elementary schools in Colorado. This book has been to, I can't tell you how many elementary schools. And the fire comes out, and I would always talk about hands-on science. That's what it says right here on the front. It's hands-on science. I thought that science was getting kids involved and letting them do things with their hands and learning.
Experimenting.
And what I learned was that's the precursor for the real learning that takes place. That great teacher builds these connections, these real-world connections. That's really where science education is moving. Because it's not just doing the activity. That's arts and crafts.
Right.
That's Food Network doing, lots of recipes and so forth. That's good. That's not teaching science. And so there really is this cool evolution.
You got it.